Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 2.6 in our authoritarian leaders unit for IB History 1, and today we're going to look at Hitler's domestic policies part 1. So by the end of today's lesson you should be able to do the following. You should be able to describe the first economic plan that was developed by Schacht in 1934. We're going to learn a bit about him. You should also be able to define how the economy changed under Hermann Göring. And then lastly, you should be able to explain how Albert Speer managed the wartime economy for Germany. So in 1929, when the stock market crashed in the United States, that sent the entire globe into a tremendous global depression called the Great Depression for everybody on the planet. And of course, Germany was no different. They were also negatively impacted. And of course, it was during this global economic depression that Hitler came to power. So one of the things when Hitler came to power, his first minister of economics was a gentleman named Hjalmar Schacht, and this is this gentleman right here is Hjalmar Schacht, and these are the things that he actually wanted to try and accomplish as the Minister of Economics. He did want to improve the balance of trade and reduce unemployment. What he means by reduce the balance of trade or improve the balance of trade was that he wanted to try and help increase German exports because Germany was importing way more than it was exporting. He was also instrumental in creating the Organization of Industry, and that group actually coordinated big business to work together. So he was trying to get, big business corporations to all start pulling their resources together to try to help kickstart the German economy. He was also a huge proponent of massive public works schemes, and so he was actually responsible for getting the German government to build schools and hospitals and public buildings, and he was hugely instrumental in getting the Autobahn created. And the Autobahn is basically similar to the interstate system. So the Germans are actually the ones that really invented the idea or the concept of the interstate, and it's called the Autobahn. And the National Labor Force was also created under Hjalmar Schacht, and what this group did was that it was created to train young men to give them new skills and to help them build projects. So the United States had something very similar under President Roosevelt, and it was called the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. And so the National Labor Force was very similar to that. And also under Hjalmar Schacht in 1934, he created something called the New Plan. And the New Plan was designed to address trade imbalance because Germany did import more than it was exporting. So he was trying to combat that through the idea of the New Plan. Well, unfortunately for Hjalmar Schacht, Hitler was not too impressed with his efforts as the Minister of Economics. So Hjalmar Schacht was fired from this position, and Adolf Hitler hired Hermann Göring as the new Minister of Economics to kind of shake things up a little bit. And one of the biggest differences between Hjalmar Schacht and Hermann Göring was can actually be illustrated in the whole guns and butter debate. Now, all of you have had economics at this point, and so most of you should remember from 10th grade economics last year the production possibilities frontier. And so this is what this graph is. This is the PPF, the Production Possibilities Frontier. And if you remember this from last year in economics, that as it says right here, society's choices are limited to points on or inside the PPF. And so what this means, the Production Possibilities Frontier, it means that if this nation puts all of its resources here at point A, so if every single thing that Germany did, if every single man, woman, child, every resource was devoted to just this thing right here at point A, that means that Germany would be doing nothing but making butter. Now we all know that's ridiculous, okay? So at the same time, if you put all of your resources over here, that means every single man, woman, and child and every single resource will also be making just guns. And we also know that's ridiculous. So the idea is that nations are all the way out here, and this is the furthest that you can go because this is the maximum once you have all of your resources. So usually countries are functioning somewhere in the middle because you have resources for banking and farming and teaching and hospitals and grocery store. I mean, so all of our resources are scattered in all sorts of places. But the difference between Göring and Schacht, now that you've had that little review on the PPF again from last year, The difference between those two is that Goring flat out said he preferred guns. If you give him a choice, do you want Germany to be peaceful and make nothing but butter? No one's going to be afraid of German butter. But people are going to be deathly afraid of German guns after World War One. So he says, I prefer guns. And that was the reason why Hitler liked him. So, as a result of that, Goring favored guns. He instituted something called the 4-year plan. And what this did was that it greatly expanded the arms manufacturing in Germany. Germany reopened its its factories, and it refurbished its factories, if you will, to now manufacture nothing but weapons. There was tighter import controls. Germany was very, very much into this German first. Everybody buy German industries, buy German-made products. So they heavily regulated and limited imports. And there was a development of domestic industry. There was this whole idea of pumping as much money into the German economy as possible and focusing on just developing German industries. And so by developing domestic industry, it was intended to find replacement for imported products. And those replacements were known as Ersatz goods. So Ersatz goods were replacements for imported goods. So if you wanted to buy French or fancy French chocolate, don't buy that. Buy this new bougie German chocolate. And that would be an Ersatz good. And so it did improve some, but Germany still did heavily rely on foreign trade, even in 1939 when World War II broke out. So in 1939, World War II starts when Germany invades Poland, and as a result, Germany is now thrust into World War II. So World War II is in full swing, and now Germany's economy is going to have to shift to full-time war production. So that means that Germany's factories and anything and everything, all industries are going to have to now shift into some type of wartime production. And so Adolf Hitler is going to place Albert Speer, this gentleman here, is going to place Albert Speer as the Minister of Armaments. So this person is going to be in charge of managing, if you will, how much weaponry is going to be managed and manufactured within Germany. And so what he did, he coordinated factories and other industries to highly effectively, by the way, to support the war effort in Germany. So he was very, very good at what he did. So I have to give him credit for that in terms of organizing Germany's industries very effectively. And how he did this was through strict economic controls. Remember, this is the Nazi Party is the National German Socialist Workers' Party. And remember, socialist does mean government intervention, and so that's totally within Nazi philosophy. So he did have very strict government economic controls. So the government really did have yields that they had required for factories to meet, and so they told you they wanted this amount of weapon, then you made sure that that factory made that amount of weapon. It was very, very strictly controlled, and they also limited personal and economic freedoms. So they heavily restricted what people could buy, when they could buy it. They rationed things if it needed to be, so there were very, very harsh restrictions on personal and economic freedoms in order to achieve this goal. And there you have it. Lesson 2.6 has come to a close. Hitler's domestic policies #1. So, can you describe the first economic plan developed by Hjalmar Schacht in 1934? Can you define how the economy changed under Hermann Göring? And can you explain how Albert Speer managed the wartime economy in Germany? If you can, then pat yourself on the back. You did an amazing job. At this point, you want to make sure to look for any activity that is attached to 2.6, complete that. And once you do that, move on to lesson 2.7. Thank you so much and have a great day.